Hello and welcome to the Unique LE Debate Youth Cup 2021. Thank you to all the lecturers, students, and supporters for being here today. My name is Alisha and I will be your chairperson and timekeeper for this session. Today's session will be adjudicated by Farhan Shah, Ali Shazwan bin Mustafa, and Atira Hadriana binti Azman. So, we are going to start with the first round of the preliminary rounds by reading the motion. The motion for this debate is this House would introduce a ceiling on a person's income. So we have the members of the government side representing Unique Almiat are Ayman as the Prime Minister, Benjamin as the Deputy Prime Minister, Arfan as the government whip, and the reply speech from the government side will be given by Ayman. For the members of the opposition side representing Unique LUBIS are Hamizah as leader of opposition, Bakishli as the deputy leader of opposition, Nadia as the opposition whip, and the reply speech from the opposition side will be given by Hamizah. Okay, before we begin, I will briefly explain the rules. Each of the main speeches is 7 minutes long. The first and last minute of each of these speeches is known as protected time, which means that no points of information or POI may be asked by the opposing bench. As the timekeeper, I will mark the opening and closing of protected time with a single clap, once at 1 minute and a second time at 6 minutes. I will also indicate that a speaker's time is up with a double bang. If a speaker continues for a further 15 seconds, the indicator will start with a triple bang and thereafter continuously until the speaker stops. Okay, for the reply speech, they are 4 minutes long and are entirely protected from POIs. The indicator for the reply speech will start as single bang at 3rd minute, double bang on 4th minute. If the speaker continues for a further 15 seconds, the indicator will start with a triple bang and thereafter continuously until the speaker stops. Could I also politely ask that phones be switched off for the duration of each debate? If you wish to use your phone, please mute your mic and switch off your video to respect the ongoing session. Participants, you will have a 10-minute grace period if you are disconnected. Please continue your speech during that period. We would move on to the next speaker if you fail to reconnect after the grace period. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming the first speaker of the debate, the Prime Minister, to the floor to open the debate.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so have you ever sat there and wonder why is my supervisor wage are much higher than me while we are doing the roughly the same work? So this is all about the this is what is the motion about. So before I continue my speech, I would like to introduce to you my team members, the government members, which is me as Aiman as the Prime Minister, and the reply speech for the government team, and Benjamin as my Deputy Prime Minister, and Arfan Shazril as our government whip. So, before we dive deeper into the motion itself, which is this house would introduce a ceiling on a person's income, let me define what's the meaning of the motion. Okay, so the meaning of the motion itself, this house would introduce a ceiling on a person income. Let me refer to the word ceiling. What's the meaning of a ceiling? Which is the maximum wages, or the maximum price that can be imposed to a certain things. Which in this case of this um, motion is wages on a person's income. So the current status quo of this motion itself is there are only a floor wages but not the not the ceiling wages. So what it means by the floor wages, there is only a minimum wages for all of the government. Sorry, all of the wages of the government sector and the non-government sector. So we believe that um, we have to support this motion, which is this house would introduce a ceiling on a person's income, because uh, we believe that if a person's income is much higher, it would create a disbalance, a not balance in a person's in everyone's income. Okay, so the motion itself is implying on a policy making motion. So we would I, as the prime minister of the government, I would like to present to you the mechanism this of this motion, which is we, the government, would like to implement a law which states that every person has to every company and every government sector has to follow the law which we imply the maximum ceiling wages for all of the workers. Okay, so first and foremost, we will try, if the motion is being accepted uh, by the judges. Okay, so we will try to impose the law to the government sector, the government worker itself. So because we want to study more, we want to dive more about the pro and cons that uh, we have in mind right now. Please note that the current pro and cons that we have in mind right now is only theoretical. Okay, so we have to do it practically, which by means we will implement the law for to the government sector for us to allow us to study more about the law itself, about the pro and cons of the law. So, and then after a period of time, maybe we estimate it's around 2 years would be enough, would be adequate for us to study the pro and cons about the of the law, and then we will implement the law with the changes according to the study that we have made, um, to the non-government sector. So why we are doing this? So other than we can study the pro and cons of the law, is we want to reinforcing encourage we want to encourage the non-government sector to accept this law. Okay, so I will be moving on to my first argument. So we as the government, we want everyone to have the same life quality. Okay, so my first argument is my point is we by implementing this motion, which is this house would introduce a ceiling on a person's income, we would want to enforce equality. Equality, yes. Why I am saying that we are enforcing equality by we introduce a ceiling on a person's income, because we believe that there are there are people who make more compared to compared to what they should have. Okay, so um but for example, a pilot can earn up to 152k of wages per year, compared to the ground handler, which only um, receive 34k per year. So this would make the ground handler would feel not equal, because they are in the same industry, and the ground handler doing a much more harder job exposed to the sun and exposed to the natural environment. And while the pilot are only sitting in the cabin and just fly the aircraft to another destination. So I believe that by imposing a ceiling on a person's income, we would reinforcing equality uh, to all workers in Malaysia, in the world. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the speech. Okay, now please welcome the first speaker of the opposition, the leader of opposition, to open the case for their side.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Um, Hi, I am the leader opposition of the team. So, according to the motion, this house would introduce a ceiling on a person's income. So, ceiling on a person's income is to me is limiting wages to the society. I could see this as a threat because it gives an unbalanced human rights for the poor, contributes to unfair situation from the social standard as well, shortage of high skilled workers to shortage of high earning workers. Here we want to focus that we against this motion is to create a more sustainable economy and social in the country in Malaysia. It is important to realize that poor people are getting poor, and this idea is not healthy for the society. We should find balance to this condition as poor people do deserve a better life rather than living in a cottage and setting their life in bare minimum. Plus, and also proven from this data that the United States does not have proven from this data coming from the uh, in, uh, international evidence, the United States does not have enough high skilled workers to meet demand for computer related jobs, and employers are seeking immigrants' talent to help fill that gap. So, to highlight about the shortage of high skilled people, you see, due to the shortage of high skilled people, it can cause to this problem where when a company if a company is a computer company seeking for software students, but how suitable and useful can the work be if they recruit a chef or tourism students to be working in that company? They don't have that specific skills and knowledge, so therefore it kind of ruins the operation of the business and as well, and the money won't sell great because of the poor service and so on. And to emphasize about this, ensuring broad access to training opportunities could also help to deal with this such problem, particularly for those group facing greater difficulties. In a way, we can give them a chance for better job opportunities. The next one is the more high earning workers. The more money, if the more high earning workers, the more money can be rolled and the more money can be made, because this will lead to more investment making, more trades making, overall produce more money and increase the economy GDP in our country at the same time. Poor people, what I meant was who are in need, or the vulnerable people who we should help and upskill the standard of our country. High skilled workers, I'm about what high skilled workers is that those who can produce a quality job that could impact our country's economy, while high earnings is these people will allow more reproduction of money. It's a problem to me as now we need more high skilled people and high earning people, and in order to recruit we need to be fair with the salary, so limiting the wages would obstruct this idea to implement more of these people to create a better and sustainable country. Is- Issuing to the poor people, we could expect government to have these people even more from the money donated from these high income people. So the model that I would like to propose is first allow a flexible range of wages that suits with the employee's qualification, allow more recruitment for high skilled people, with experience and excellent soft skill strategy like communication or networking give the chance for the poor to work and contribute for the country, and at the same time implement a balanced growth for a sustainable economy. Therefore, we strictly oppose the motion of this House would introduce a ceiling on a person's income. Many argue runs around telling that ceiling a person's income could bring a huge unfairness because each people have their own uniqueness and qualification that should allow a flexible rather than limiting the wages. So, as opposed by the government prime minister, every company have to follow the law that has implied for the wages of the workers. It's not to say that it's I would oppose this statement because this won't allow a flexible wages based on the amount that the person deserve. Thus, it shows why ceiling on a person's income is not fair to abolish under the circumstances as mentioned. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to thank the speaker for the speech and welcome the second speaker of the government, the Deputy Prime Minister, to continue the case for their side.
Can anyone hear my microphone?
Yes,
Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Mic test. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Benjamin, I think you can turn off your camera. Okay, thank you.
Uh, sh- okay. Can okay. Um, I let's start now. So, um, um, a maximum wage. Okay. Am I clear now?
Yes, okay.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes. I think you can start.
Okay. So Pizzigatti, a designer from New York, have said that a maximum wage would would further encourage and prove that there's more to life than chasing after ever greater amounts of money. Before I continue, I'd like to bid good morning to the panel of judges, the beautiful timekeeper, worthy opponents, and my fellow comrades, as well as the panel on the floor, and every single thing that the leader opposition have said. Now, what she has said was she tried to prove that people with higher qualifications could do a better job, could do a better job because of the amount of experience they have and the qualifications they have. Now, this is she implying that is the speaker implying that the newcomers and the rookies, the one that the one that was educated with probably better quality and better standards of and higher levels of education in compared to people who are older, more experienced, but with a lower quality in the sense that things are adapting and things uh, are improving. So with this improvements and adaptations, education could further improve their quality in itself. Hence, shows that the quality of the people now could do probably a better job than someone who has worked 20 years or 30 years, right? And she has said the poor are getting poorer and the rich are getting richer. This just further proves that the the by setting a maximum wage limit, a ceiling on a person's income, this could prevent the rich from getting richer, thus helps with a certain company to probably upscale or probably increase the wage of the poorer individuals or poorer employees. Now I'm gonna present my own argument that would further support the motion of setting a ceiling on a person's income, whereby the first argument that I would suggest, I would give is it prevents unnecessary over expenditure of a certain budget of a company just to pay salaries of the employees. Now, with this, what I can say is those people who are earning more than what they honestly deserve could probably be a certain parasite towards a certain company, whereby if they are earning up to a five digit income and people below them earns four-digit income, this gap in between actually shows the inequality in itself, whereby the first prime minister, the first speaker that um, has stated before that it could improve or it could reinforce equality. This shows that we could decrease the size of this gap itself, thus showing that it actually do enforce equality, right? So, who am I talking about here? For example, what had the first speaker said, pilots, they earn in a scale of 3 to probably five to probably 6 digits per year. And what they do, sure, they are risking their life, and they're risking hundreds of lives just by piloting an aircraft itself. But with this meticulous system, and with this proper mechanisms of an aircraft itself, it actually shows that most of the time pilots are only useful on the landing and the takeoff of the flight itself. And there have been reports, and there have been source media leaked that people are trying to develop an autopilot so that they could actually fly the aircraft, take off, landing with the autopilot itself. What does this show? This shows that the pilots, what they typically do is they get in, they look neat, they look nice, they look handsome, they sit in the cockpit with an air conditioned room, with comfort, and all they do is just monitor the system. Now, how is this how does this prove that they can earn about 6 digits, whereby the people lower, the ground staff, they earn half of what the pilots earn, but they had to endure the weather, they had to endure the temperature, the humidity of the air, they have to endure they have to endure the pain of maintaining and this maximum wage or ceiling on a person's income. It could prevent unnecessary over expenditure on a certain someone in a company, on a certain employee, and that money they could use to to pay other employees, or maybe employ more employees, thus increasing the efficiency of the company itself. Now, next argument that I'd like to propose here is that with human connection. Now, as what the quote I have brought in the start of the speech itself is that maximum wage could actually send a message that there's more to life than chasing after ever greater amounts of money. Now, wealth doesn't mean that it could provide happiness. So by having this maximum wage, a ceiling on person's income, much as they can do, they could only earn up to this much. So typically, what a person could do is that they could further, or they could shift their focus onto human connections, meaning to say family, friends, relationships, right? So this proves that this motion could actually bring a good effect, and it benefits the people in itself without a parasite that keeps getting a large amount of wage. With that, I'd like to conclude.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I continue the event. I'd like to thank the speaker for their remarks and welcome the second speaker of the opposition, the deputy leader of opposition, to continue the debate for their side.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to the timekeeper, adjudicators, and also members of the floor. Today, I would like to talk about this house would introduce a ceiling on a person's income. So, from the Prime Minister, he stated that is maximum and for his argument, he also stated that government should enforce equality. And for my side, for the leader of opposition, she stated that for her argument is unbalanced human rights is right for the poor, and also for the example of it is which is ensuring broad access, allowing a flexible income, and also allow more high skills people to ensure of the income itself. So from my side, which is the deputy prime minister of opposition, for my arguments is price ceiling has not been found to be a grade of importance. And for my first point is leading to shortage in supply, and also if the prices producers are allowed to change or to cut offline with their production costs and business expenses. This could include that they may have to cut corners, reducing quality, or change higher prices on other products. Some may be driven out of business if they can't realize a reasonable profit on their goods services. This is because price ceilings prevent a price from rising above a certain level. Basically, when a price ceiling is set below the equilibrium price, quantity demanded will exceed quantity supplied, and excess demand or shortages will result. Price floors prevents a price from falling below a certain level. So to conclude everything from the Prime Minister, the Leader of Opposition, and also the Deputy of Prime Minister, we can see that uh, by introducing a ceiling on a person's income, this could also that I would disagree with it because it could affect the poor people's income, and also the possibility for the wages of the income could be decreased too. So uh, in this case, I would like to end my speech that, and I'm standing my stance that I would disagree with this motion that this house will introduce a ceiling on a person's income. With that, thank you.
Okay, thank you, the deputy leader of opposition. Now let us welcome the government whip to summarize the debate for the government side. Okay, now let us welcome the government whip to summarize the debate for the government side. Okay, so let's have a grace period for government whip. Um, for government, I think the alternative for waiting the government whip, I think you can WhatsApp call the disconnected speaker, or maybe and maybe you can put the phone on mic.
Yeah, sure. We will do that. Wait.
Oh,
Can you give me like 1 minute to call him?
okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello.
Okay, hello.
Okay, so here is the government whip. So I will put him on a speaker.
Okay.
Okay, Arfan, you're on.
Okay, so hello guys, can you hear me? Um, First of all, I would like to apologize for the um, technical mistake that I have occurred. So I am the government whip for today's government team, and I would like to, first of all, I would like to rebut on the deputy prime minister for saying that the deputy prime minister said that she disagreed for the ceiling on a person's income because it could affect the poor people's income. Okay, so for this point, I would like first of all I would like to conclude that my prime minister and my deputy prime minister their argument is about the reinforcement of equality towards people and also to prevent unnecessary over expenditure of budgets for salary of high paid employees and also promote better and stronger relationship on human connection. So this which means that like the deputy prime minister has just stated just now that um, to allow flexible changes such as the company sometimes, not sometimes, the company hire the higher positions for the higher skills people, and also this is to sustain and to maintain the economy of certain company, and also this actually it doesn't affect very frequently towards the poor people about this ceiling uh, maximum wages towards personal income because that um, how do I say, like the poorer getting poorer, the richer getting richer, which is it's not like that actually, but it's most like what I've been just stated before that the company hire for the skilled people and for the people that have a high skill, so that the people have the higher wage. To be shorted, it means equality towards all. It's just not that for the higher position gets the higher wage and the lower positions get the lower wage. I mean, even a lower lower positions of a certain employees in certain companies could get a higher wage. Okay, to get a high wage if they're very consistent towards their job, and for the poor people, it doesn't mean that the poor people will keep on getting poorer because it's, like I said, if they're very consistent, if they're very consistent on what are they doing, on what works are they doing, they might get, get a raise from a certain company, and this could show some equalities towards not just the the rich people. I mean, like the high level people, and also the lower people, which is the poor people. Okay, and to sum up, all of the things, all of the points in which for the motion that have been given is the motion that have been given is to ceiling, ceiling maximum wages towards a person's income, which by means is that it will give some equalities towards the people, and also to become more sustainable income towards people's people's income, not just only the uh, higher higher positions people, but also for the lower position people, which I mean for the poor people. And also for the poor people to have a chance for a better job could also increase, and also put the limit to the earning. Sorry, I mean like the poor people also are gonna have the chance to have a better job on a certain company, or on a certain a work on what are they doing. And like I said just now, if they're very consistent, if they're very a hardworking person, it doesn't care whether it's a poor people or rich people. If they're very consistent on their work or on their job in the company, they could get a very maximum wage on what are they, on what effort that they put on.
Arfan, it's already 7 minutes.
Okay, so I think that's all. Thank you. I will end my speech today. This now, right now.
Okay, yep, he's done.
Okay. Thank you, Government Whip. Okay, next, please welcome the Opposition Whip to sum up for the opposition team.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamualaikum to the adjudicator, and everyone else. So, the motion is this house would introduce a ceiling on a person's income. Okay. This action can cause a problem, though, if they continue for too long or when they are set too far below the market equilibrium. Now, this is what we have done. There are three arguments that have been discussed earlier from the leader of opposition and also deputy leader of opposition. So the first point is unbalanced human rights for the poor. Those who live a simple life do not necessarily do the light work. There are some of these people who do the hard work like the construction. So this will cause injustice to the people. So how can the prime minister think that by limiting the salary will enforce equality? The second point that been mentioned from the deputy of leader of opposition is often causes supply shortage. They may have to discontinue diff- they may have to discontinue offering things or not produce as much as it was because it can cause more shortages. And the third point is government should involve equality. It is clear that this is one of the main reasons why the government was created, to administer justice to all his people. And as the Deputy Prime Minister mentioned, that wealth doesn't mean that it could provide happiness. So I would like to state that the statement is wrong. To justify why I say this is because money is not everything. But with money, you can buy a car, you can buy a house, or you can buy any pets in the world that you want. Now that brings happiness. You can go wherever or whenever you want and you have your own property. And the most important thing is you can protect yourself from any harms. So by that, I clarify that money can bring happiness to someone's life. Hence, I'm sure the way to not putting a ceiling on someone's income is better. Here, I emphasize that this action will lead to a fairer atmosphere for all. Not only brings a harmonious atmosphere, but also brings many benefits to the country in the economic terms. And for that, I am very confident with the decision of not limiting someone's salary. As per my principle, this is the right thing to do. And I end my speech. I end my speech with that. Thank you for listening.
Okay, it's been 5 minutes, and now let us welcome the representative from the opposition side for the reply speech.
Alicia, I
Yes.
ask you, should I start my reply speech or should I wait for the signal? And I
Uh,
don't receive any signal.
we have the reply speech for your side after the opposition side first.
Okay, sorry.
Okay? Ah, it's okay. Okay. Speaker Hamizah, are you there?
Hello.
Okay, hello.
Sorry, I'm really sorry. Okay. Um. As discussed, as what were discussed by the government side and my team, I would firstly, I would firstly believe that for my team, we stand the right stance to oppose the motion by focusing at the unbalanced human rights between poverty and rich. However, the government side did include about enforcing equality, but they also mentioned about wealth does not mean could provide happiness. In a way, I disagree because wealth could actually bring happiness, as we know that everything nowadays includes money. We're here to oppose the idea of ceiling incomes and to oppose the idea of ceiling incomes. And for the poor people, what we meant is they could have lived a better life than where they are now if they have more money. As we issue to unbalanced human rights, poor society should be the main subject. So I could say that human rights, in a sense of deserving to have personal income to at least allow these poor people to live a complete life with adequate needs. To further elaborate, the statement wealth that does not bring happiness is not enough to fulfill the needs for a life fulfillment. Our whip have also added about how money we can buy cars and then property. With that being said, limiting the wage could make it worse and maximizing it, but to the wrong people, the people who are adequate and don't have a financial trouble, because these people they probably might use the money illegally by buying drugs or anything that's harmful, when we should like give more of that money to the people who really more needing it. Therefore, me and my team, I oppose that this house would introduce a ceiling on a person's income. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the speech. And now let us welcome the last speaker for today's debate to give the reply speech for the government side.
Okay, so as per discussed with my team, with my deputy prime minister and my government whip speaker, so we believe that we have won this debate because uh, it's simply because the opposition team does not understand what's the meaning of the motion, even though we have given the definition of the motion itself. So, as per said by the uh, the reply speaker of the opposition team, that uh, she elaborates that the poorer are getting poor, the poor are getting poorer. This is because she said that the poor doesn't receive enough wage. So, but this motion is about imposing maximum wages to ceiling wages or maximum wages to the higher ups, to those who are earning more than they deserve. So I believe that the government does I believe that the opposition doesn't even understand the purpose of this motion, which is this house would introduce a ceiling on a person's income. So I believe by the government point, which were reinforcing equality, prevent unnecessary over expenditure of budget for salary of a high paying employee, and promotes better and stronger relationship on human connection. We believe that we as the government are much more connected to the people, to the people of the country, so that because we want to reinforce equality by having the extra money from the extra funds from the wages, the unnecessary wages. We could employ more worker in the industry, and it would eventually it would boost the economic growth. Okay, so they also said that the money will make you happy, but they are this is not true, because there are people who believe that the peace of mind is everything, not money. So yeah, I think uh that's I think we have won this debate, because first we are connected to the people, and second is opposition. The opposition team has did not even understand what's the purpose of the motion, the definition of the motion is, and they are scrolling around, because we are saying about wages, whereby the deputy leader opposition are saying about um, ceiling price. Ceiling price and ceiling wages are two different things, yeah, opposition team. So I believe that by this, I believe the judges should have support this motion and let us win. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the reply speech. With that, the debate for this round has ended. Let us give the adjudicators some time to discuss this round result. The adjudicators may move to their respective rooms. I ask the participants to please remain in this room.
Hi, hello, am I in?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
just give me 30 seconds. Wait, got something else need to do. Sorry about this. 25th of July. Session. Hold on, guys. Give me a sec to finalize something else. Mm, slide. Can lah. Give me a sec. Sorry about this. All right, cool. Sorry, I took some time. Hi, welcome back. It was a decent round for first time debating. So here's how I'm going to go for my OA. I'm going to give you a general feedback. I'm going to give you my verdict, then I'm going to give you my justification. So I assume most of you first time trying this debate. So congratulations on your assume this is your first attempt or your few attempts, and it was a great debate. It was a rich discussion. So I think a lot of people have tried the effort to pour a lot of argument. But however, here are few comments regarding this. So first of all, I think to regards with the argument, I think the first level of this argument that like when you assert certain claim, I think it's wise for some of you to try to complete some of the argument, which means to say that if you claim certain things, it means you need to tell me reason why this will happen, why this is more likely is a justification. Saying one liner is not enough to persuade me the argument. It needs to be a reasoning. So if and second, assumingly you claim this is the benefit of outcome that will happen, then you need to have a justification telling me why this outcome will more likely to happen. Even if it's less likely, but at least there's a justification, a reasonable reasoning on what will happen. And third level towards this, assuming you're already giving me this is the outcome, the most important part of this debate is to impact your argument, which means to say that if you claim this argument could have impact the poor people, tell me why this is going to be impact in a positive way, why this is going to be life changing towards people who are poor, people who are rich, why this is going to be, etc., etc. So this is only then you are able to make your argument more impactful. More if you do that, it makes your argument way more persuasive, especially able to do a life-changing argument towards the most vulnerable people. So I think that's the most important part. Second part, I think it's about response. So this is also mixed with flash. So I think there's need to be excess of assessment of your response, which means to say that you I think some there were attempt of response, but some were quite soft. So it's like you say that yeah, it will happen, but slightly on the borderline, we are okay. It's not immediately respond by saying no. Like you have to say that more like you say no, this will not be happening, and bite the bullet even if this will happen. Say why this is harmful and why this is going to be detrimental to status quo, detrimental to the poor people, to the rich people. And if you want to do that, also need to give justification why your rebuttal is also reasonable. So I think all this attempt needs to be done in order to make the argument more persuasive. Because if it's not, it's just like a one-liner argument. You make judges question: Is it true? Is it not true? So and then judges can't just enter to the debate because there needs to be justification of why it is. It does it is makes a sense that is persuasive. So I think there are few uh, uh, like there needs to be an effort in help to solidify this particular reasoning. So if you still don't see where I'm trying to go, I will give my personal feedback. If you want my number, I can give you, and you guys can approach me. I'll tell you what you guys were missing and how you guys could have make it better, and what are the more possible argument which could have made this debate having a way more richer discussion. Because while it has a lot of discussion, my point of view is slightly shallow because I think there is way more other point of view of how you guys could have made this debate even way in depth discussion. So without further ado, my verdict, I give the win to side opposition. And here's my reason on two clash. Number one, equality. Number two, how does it affect the rich partially on the poor? And I'll tell you why is it partial. So number one, on the idea about equality, first clash. I think both sides also wanted to fight for equality somehow. From government side, one says that look, we want to enforce equality. Straightforward from the first argument from Prime Minister, and then reaffirm from the second to the third speaker why the equality is essentially important. While oppositions claim that opposition respond towards that or the clash towards that, it says that no, if you implement the policy from side government, you will further entrench you further entrench inequality. Remaining in status quo, you will have a sustainable equality for both sides, regardless towards the poor or rich. So let's look on the reasoning. So what I credited and what I appreciated from side government is it says that look, the moment that you put a caps link on someone's wages, you will impose equality. On the so I appreciate that. However, few problems that I access in this debate. Number one, first problem is that like I understand on your principle that the reason why you want to do this because it is unfair, like the treatment that you have towards rich people within this company that rich people can fly here and fly there, and then while poor people have to take the hard within the company have to take the hard way of doing their certain job and etc. The treatment is way more different. However, few problems I have. Number one, I unable to see that under your world, how do you impose inequality? How under your world, the moment that you put a cap, you were able to create a change of equality. So that reasoning on that change, how this will more likely to happen is absent. So even if I buy your a best case scenario that equality does happen, let's look at the impact. Because it's very hard for me to reason because I unable to find why under your world your equality is good. I unable to find any reasoning why your impact does impact the poor people. To a certain extent, it does punish certain rich people. So I unable to see that particular reasoning or why this does give a life changes to this individual. Closest that I do see from second speaker and third speaker, it says that no, like if you don't impose this policy, you will have the poor getting poor, the rich become rich. So that's why you set a maximum standard so you prevent the rich from becoming richer. So another level on this is that uh I unable to see under your world. I do understand to a certain perspective that if you put a cap, true, the rich were unable to be richer, but I don't see any incentive why this rich will suddenly will help poor people. Like why the tiba you put a maximum wage, suddenly the poor people like macam like perasa and self actualize like muhasabah diri like all of a sudden, oh I nak tolong orang miskin, I will help the poor. So I don't see any reasoning there. So in contrast with some opposition, as they already brought to me and say that look, the moment there's a harm, the moment that you lock up rich people from getting their money, they're unable to use this particular money to do things like more investment, unable to do things like more trading, and all these essential impactful benefit like helps to improve not just the productivity of the company and also to help to improve the money circulation in the company, but to this is the extent biggest impact is to improve the country's economy, also the GDP, all because of rich people have the money to do so. So at least it told me a slight reasoning that rich people has the capacity and has the incentive to do this because they want to get richer and richer, etc. And all this action that the rich people do does benefit to the people on the ground, which is poor people, because on the first and second speaker keep on saying establish things like this is going to be bad if rich people don't do this. You do things like cutting off shortage, you're able to like prevent certain product from if causing certain product to be uh, a price to be increased and then driving away certain businesses because the rich people are unable to maintain the productivity of the company. Generic economic argument and things, and then um, like moving on to the second level of this debate is like the justification. Is it justified for us to put a cap towards rich people? I think this is boiling out to the second level to this clash of the equality, which is the principle: should we put a cap on them or not? Gov says that look, we should impose because these people are very privileged. they only leverage all this money because of the comfortability, etc. But the how what they do is only bare minimum, and then they receive so much privileges, etc. However, I don't think this is quite I think this is insufficient to bring down what has already been brought by the first speaker. Because from OpLO keep on saying that, look, the reason why they are deserving to have these wages is because they are deserving. They are the money is equivalent of them delivering a good quality of job. It is equivalent to the qualification. It is equivalent to the experience. So, Golf closest response towards this by saying that, um, no, on closest response is saying like no, this can be slightly equalized because um fresh graduates or workers can improve based on knowledge, can improve like their quality based on knowledge and etc. And somehow adapt to those change in the current status quo. While I see is quite intuitively, but it's very hard for me to believe that all this education that you have is proportionate to the level of experience of individual have, the 30 years of experience that people have already worked in the industry, the amazing decision making that they help to save certain the company, which I'm unsure whether that is equivalent to the knowledge that you learn in uni. So is I don't I think there is need to be even more reasoning to make people persuade, like the moment you take degree suddenly you can be CEO. So I think that's a fast stretch over there. I think there's need to be more reasoning, or maybe play the even if why that might not be the case. So I think there's need to be more explanation on telling me like why it is still justified for us to tax towards rich people. I think there's better reason. I think there's more persuasive reasoning for this. So moving on to the second clash, I think the impact towards the most vulnerable individual. So I think there are two levels. So let's talk about the rich first. I think this is the biggest discussion that we have, because one side says that because this is what opposition brings to the table, which I appreciate and credit. It says that the reason why we should not put a max cap because of the contribution of what rich people could have done, could have do to these people. So I think the closest response to side government could have said to this is just say that look, the we just want to prevent rich from getting richer. So assessing the harm about rich is getting richer, are unable to access and are unable to see what are the harms when rich are getting richer coming out from side opposition. Does it actually affects the life of the poor people? I unable to see that from side opposition because the impact was less. I'm in comparative with the impact on side opposition when they're able to show me there is true biting the bullet that rich are getting richer. But knowing that what the capability of rich can bring to the poor people, things like invest, create more job, especially for the poor people, which indirectly hire even more high skilled worker who are from the poor people and give them more job opportunities, etc. I think in terms of outweighing, I see that the value contribution from inside opposition giving impact towards poor people are more. So biting bullet, I think this is quite smart from side opposition. Side government need to point it out by telling us that look, this debate doesn't affect poor people because in the company structure, which is very smart for him to frame it, it's not. I don't see it's a new argument, but I'm more likely to see it as a unique response towards all opposition case by saying that look, it doesn't affect regardless because a company will still hire a separate higher skill worker if we still going to hire a separate higher position individual with higher wages. So it still doesn't matter regardless whether you are poor, etc. The company will still hire. It's just that this debate is about specific about the rich people. We want to put a cap. So I think that was a nice framing. However, like even if you disregard this debate, it's not about the poor people and doesn't affect them much. You still go to higher because the maximum wage gap is still way more higher. They still and unable to meet and they will still able to improve in future. That still doesn't dealt with the main impact from opposition by saying what rich people could have done to the economy, what could have done to the company and its productivity, and all the additional impacts, things like investment, etc., which to improve the country economy and GDP. So that's how I see this debate, and this is why I give the reason to side opposition. So if you guys have any clarification, I assume you guys can just WhatsApp me. Yeah, cool.
Can you give your number? Give us your number because I want to personal feedback.
Sure, no problem. This
Yeah.
is my number. If there's not any further, if there's no other clarification, let's move back to the main room. It's already behind schedule.
Yeah, okay. Everyone, you guys can just leave the Zoom. So thank you so much to Edge Farhan and everyone. Congrats to the winners. So let's meet in the Zoom call right now. Okay, thank you everyone.
Okay, thank you.